Here is another tip for the piece Flow, which I've been discussing lately. This is really quite fun, this particular section. It's about 5 bars long, starting at measure 16. Its writing reminds me of Grainger a little bit, with a lot of up and down dynamics happening over a very short time. Here's an example of how it should sound. Goes by kind of fast, doesn't it? The difficulty is really getting those crescendos in place, not thinking that you have them in place, but actually having them in place so the listener can hear them. I suppose you could give yourself a point or two for effort, but unless it gets out to the audience, that point or two doesn't count for much. In order to practice this, I would simplify it so you can be sure you're getting the right results, as I've talked about before. Let's take just the opening few notes. It starts piano. There's a crescendo up to mezzo forte on the bar line. However, in the middle of that crescendo, in the midst of a bunch of sixteenths, there's an accent. So we have this steady increase indicated by the crescendo, and right about here in the middle, there's an accent, which is difficult to do and keep the increase sounding. So without the accent, that's not too hard that way. Adding the accent does make it more complex. We need the accent, then really breaking it apart. The next note should be softer than the accent, but still following notes with crescendo. So what you might do is just simplify it to 2 notes only. First without the accents. Now I'll add the accent where it belongs, but still just keeping those notes. That helps me understand the shape a little better as I do that. I'll put the right notes back in place now. Just a bar and a half later now, we have to go back to work in that same process. There's a crescendo from piano to mezzo forte occurring over just 3 16th notes this time. And conveniently, the top note of the crescendo is also accented, so the downbeat is accented, which is nice. Decrescendo after that, that's also pretty easy to do. Once you've punched a note for the accent, creating a decrescendo isn't that difficult. We come down to a mezzo piano, crescendo back again to a forte over 4 16ths. That's a lot going on, so I'll do it in very slow motion. It's much easier at that tempo, and perhaps this would be a place where progressively going faster, let's move the metronome back to actually half speed instead of just thinking half speed. For many people, it's more effective to stay at the regular tempo, but break the music into smaller pieces, which I did on the previous example. Those are practice techniques you might find helpful. In previous examples, I've tried to show you how you can teach yourself by setting an example of how something should be played and then trying to play that. However, it's harder in this one. The breaking apart practice is probably better for this particular piece, staying in the normal tempo. After the up and down dynamics, the section ends with 5 notes that are a little bit tricky. The first 4 are syncopated. They're all marked staccato. The 5th note is on the downbeat. It's a quarter note, so it's longer, has a legato mark and an accent. The legato and the accent, of course, mean length and weight. So there should be a substantial difference, even though it's the same dynamic, between the first 4 short notes and the longer accented 5th note. So make sure you can hear that distinction in your playing. It's a little tricky because you've got to jump down an octave and a half to a pedal A flat. So some substantial low range practice is in order if that's not comfortable for you. I hope this has been helpful. Thanks for listening.